Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as I have alluded to earlier during the announcement of the order of events, there is a report published by CIRDAP, and this report will be...
There are about 1.3 billion people who live below the poverty lines and who earn less than $1 a day. About 2
live in the rural areas, of which 67% are in the CIRDAP member countries. Within this region,
the chairperson of CIRDAP Executive Committee, distinguished delegates, the CIRDAP Director General, Excellencies, I acknowledge the Honorable Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Rural Development and National Disaster Management, Fiji, the Honorable Votualevu, Permanent Secretaries and Senior Government Officials, ladies and gentlemen. Bulabinaka, and a warm welcome to you all. I am privileged and honored to be with you this morning at the inaugural session of the 30th regular meeting of the Center on Integrated Rural Development for the Asia and the Pacific Executive Committee EC30 meeting. Firstly, let me welcome you all on behalf of the people and the government of Fiji to our islands. I hope that you've gotten over your jet lag and that you are fresh and ready for business. In previous meetings that I attend, people always ask me, how long does it take to come from Fiji to Tehran? That was in the 2013 meeting. Now you can have a feel of the traveling and how it takes to get to Fiji. But I hope that you have recovered. We are delighted to be hosting the series of CIRDAP meetings this week, commencing with the Executive Committee meeting today. And we will do our best to ensure that your stay in Fiji will be a memorable and an enjoyable experience for you all. As members of CIRDAP, the meetings and deliberations this week are vital, as they will enable us to share and discuss issues of common interest affecting our respective countries, especially in the area of rural development, and we are the countries where majority of our population reside in the rural areas and who are constrained by basic services such as infrastructure, transportation, and market access. Of course, one of the most pressing challenges for us, which is the focus of the meeting this week, is rural income and poverty alleviation. Events such as those that we are holding this week will shed important light on critical areas, expose our strategies that have been used effectively in our respective countries, which can help refocus and guide national efforts for the empowerment of rural people. Rural development and poverty has been a major concern in most developing countries. These are among the top priorities in economies of Asia and the Pacific, where about 50% of the world's and 75% of all developing countries' population live. Whilst agriculture continues to support rural activity, incomes and livelihoods, the majority of rural dwellers fall below the poverty lines or in the vulnerable fringes of poverty. Our responsibility, therefore, is an important one. As policymakers, our role should be focused on increasing rural people's economic opportunities and improving their quality of life. Developments in housing, provision facilities, and public utilities forge partnerships with rural communities. We must also ensure that technical assistance is provided and financial backing available for rural businesses and cooperatives to create opportunities for economic participation by our rural communities. Fiji, as a small, open, but relatively a more developed economy in the South Pacific region, has made invariable progress on poverty reduction on broader measures of the Millennium Development Goals. With a nominal GDP of just over US $3.9 billion, the Fijian economy, according to Fiji's 2007 census, supports over 837,271 the then total population of Fiji, which is made up of 57% of indigenous Fijians, 37% Indo-Fijians, and the remaining 6% are Europeans, Chinese, and other Pacific Islanders descent. Fiji's average population growth is about 1.5, according to the Fiji Bureau of Statistics 2015, and the per capita GDP estimated at US dollars 4,375 in 2013 is neither regionally high nor remarkable, but shows strong and positive sign of potential recovery in well-being. The most recent economic growth forecast points to a real GDP growth of around 4.2% for 2014, and is expected to have resulted from growth in sectors like tourism, building and construction, communications, and retail trade. Although the share of agriculture in Fiji's GDP has fallen, agriculture continues to support a good majority of Fiji's population. Its contribution to GDP has declined from as high as 25% in the pre-1987 period to around 12% in 2012. Agriculture in Fiji is largely dominated by sugarcane farming, although a range of marine and forestry products, together with root crops, fruits, vegetables, livestock, and minerals, are cultivated or produced and exported from Fiji. More recently, commercial agriculture in the non-sugar sector has been increasing, and my ministry is working hard to bring the sector's contribution back to the pre-1987 levels and higher. The Fijian government remains committed to addressing poverty and income inequality in Fiji. A number of strategies were introduced to address these issues. Policies were developed and government programs reworked to empower our rural population. From the outset, the government acknowledged that Fiji's problems are complex. Income inequalities was one of the issues of note, considering that the 20% of Fijians receive only 6% of the national income, while the richest 20% receive 40% of the national income. Given the history of rural development in Fiji in the last 39 years, and in order to address those problems, efforts were employed by the Fijian government to accelerate development, especially in Fiji's rural sector, and to bring some sense of balance to Fijians. The People's Charter for Change, Peace and Progress, after nationwide consultations, was developed and adopted in 2008 as a national guiding document for Fiji's development that provided a just and equitable framework for the fair distribution of development initiatives in Fiji. Reducing poverty to a negligible level by 2015 was one of our priorities. Measures such as strengthening coordination and monitoring of poverty alleviation programs, the introduction of a national minimum wage to enhance national productivity, and the launching of a coordinated national program to reduce poverty, with a target to reduce poverty in line with the MDG 1, aimed at halving incidents by 2015 the world over, were introduced. Developing community leaders is considered one of the most important elements of rural development, and government intervention in this regard was essential. Additionally, the establishment of Fiji's integrated rural development structure was considered vital to ensure development was better coordinated and redundancies in the process of development eliminated. These were aimed at ensuring that the needs of the people remained the focus of development. To this end, therefore, rural people's aspirations and interests were mainstreamed into national development plans and programs with line ministries and other key agencies responsible for their implementation. A number of economic policies were also implemented by government in 2009 to improve the Fijian economy. These included reforms in the various sectors of government. Annual budgets were set in such a way to modernize and strengthen the foundations of all aspects of the Fijian economy. The Fijian government announced in 2010 measures implemented in line with recommendations of the IMF assessment in 2009, some of which were changed in rules around land availability for productive use, civil service and public enterprise reforms, and the liberalization of the economy. Assistance was also provided to target the poor and those on the lower end of the economic scale. Government vigorously pursued fiscal policies from 2011, which saw the substantial increase in government spending on construction work, like building new roads and jetties, and annual budgets continues to support infrastructure development. In 2013, capital expenditure hit the $700 million mark, meaning more money for development projects and initiatives. Government also made significant progress in reforming the tax system in Fiji, and 2013 marked a new era for taxpayers in Fiji as the tax threshold was raised to $16,000 from $9,000 in 2008, meaning that those earning less than $16,000 were exempted from paying taxes. This translated to more income and less burden on the people, leading to increased consumption. Additionally, a number of programs were also introduced by government to improve rural income and reduce poverty, such as the food voucher scheme under the Family Assistance Program, increased family assistance allowance, a better pension system, construction of additional housing units, more income generation programs, upgrading of health and education facilities, extension of rural electrification grid, and these directly affect the welfare of the rural population. As aspirations grow and consumption rises, Fiji adopted a new path of economic growth which advocated the use of natural resources in a sustainable manner. That provided a strong platform for economic growth and empower Fiji's rural sector. The key drivers for development are Fiji's accelerated consumption-led growth, significant improvement in infrastructure and communication, and increased government spending on programs for rural development. Rural incomes, which were dependent mostly on farm income, are now boosted by trading, agro-processing, and ancillary industries. Rising procurement prices and increasing access to finance have also supported rural incomes. These are creating better opportunities for the rural sector and are also unleashing a bigger, higher level of anticipation and renewed hope for the rural populace. Fiji has made good progress over the years, and we've had, in the last 4 years, a period of unprecedented sustained economic growth. But there is still much that needs to be done. Thousands of people in the rural Fiji still live on the fringes of poverty. There are still a number of issues related to health, education, infrastructure, and sanitation which needs great urgent attention. Agricultural rural growth is critical and needs to be picked up. And of course, we must think beyond agriculture if we were to make a real impact on the thousands who live in rural Fiji. Partners in development, including government agencies, non-government organizations, civil society, and corporate bodies, have a role to play in enabling this growth while overcoming the attendant challenges. With the right kind of public-private partnerships, we can address these challenges by finding innovative solutions and building on the opportunities. The challenges we are confronted with are not unique to Fiji, but are generic to the majority of developing countries. The task at hand, therefore, for delegates present today is to work in concert to find solutions for our common concerns as developing countries unified under the umbrella of CIRDAP. The decision of my government to become a member of CIRDAP in 2010 demonstrates Fiji's commitment to rural development and our eagerness to learn from the best practices tested and adopted by CIRDAP member countries. I am pleased that since becoming a member, more than 20 officers from my ministry have attended CIRDAP-sponsored training programs. This is additional to our 4 officers that have graduated with postgraduate diplomas in rural development from India's National Institute for Rural Development in Hyderabad under the aegis of CIRDAP and the good government of India. This is one of the key benefits derived from our membership. The current meeting of the Executive Committee of CIRDAP is crucial and an important one, as the Centre needs redirection and to re-evaluate its position in view of the changing landscape of development affecting the world today. I am hopeful, therefore, that your meeting over the next 2 days will culminate with concrete suggestions and recommendations that will reassert the relevance and importance of CIRDAP as an organization to member countries. As the minister responsible for the CIRDAP Link Ministry in Fiji, I wish to avail myself of this opportunity to reiterate to CIRDAP member countries the renewed commitment of my government towards working with you to foster greater regional cooperation to hasten rural development and poverty alleviation within member countries. I am hopeful that CIRDAP will continue to play its due role to promote information sharing, experiences, and forge partnerships that will help to bring member countries closer to their mutual benefit, While you are in Fiji, I hope that you will find time to see some parts of our country and get to enjoy some real Fiji experience. Let me conclude by wishing you fruitful deliberations over the next 2 days, and it gives me much pleasure to declare the 30th regular meeting of the CIRDAP Executive Committee open. Votualevu, Dhanyabad, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.